Hi, welcome to Sumo P. Today I'm sharing a classic lemon tart. It's easy. I'm doing it with my favorite spelt flour, but you can do it with regular flour, and it's only got 4 eggs. So let's get started. First step, we need to pop our oven on to 170 degrees C. And the next step, you need to make sure you've got a baking tray and you need to grease your pie tin or your flan or tart tin. So I've just greased that with a little bit of butter, and the tray helps it come in and out of the oven easily. So in here we're using spelt flour today, white spelt flour, 250 grams or 2 cups. But as I said, use whatever flour you like. And I'm going to add a pinch of salt and a little bit of sugar. This is optional. I'm just going to pop in 2 tablespoons. And we've got chilled butter. There's just half a pack of butter, which is 125 grams, and I've had it chilled and cubed. Now you can do this in the food processor or on your stand mixer, but I find that I get a better result when I do it with my hands. So it's a bit of a patience game. You just need to use your fingertips and press all those little cubes of butter. Don't flick it all over you like I just did, until you form breadcrumbs. And if you find you've got a few big bits that you haven't pressed together, when you bake your crust or your base, it's kind of fine. They tend to melt and you'll get this flaky texture. Okay, I think that's good enough. So let me just quickly wash my hands. My hands are washed and I'm grabbing a large wooden spoon. So in here I'm going to crack 1 egg yolk. I'm just going to remove the white. Just throw that in. And then we need just 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. So what I'll do, I'm going to add just 1 tablespoon to start with. And then if I need it, I'll add more. I think we will need that extra tablespoon. Oh, and this is chilled water. I've had it in the fridge, so it's super cold. And you can use a combination of whole grain flour with white flour, if that's what you prefer. I'm going to swap over and use my hands. And we're almost forming our dough, which is exciting. So I've just formed a disc. So what I'll do, I'm going to chill this in the fridge now for about 30 minutes. Just to relax it. It relaxes the gluten in the flour or in the dough. So I'll grab some plastic and I'm just going to wrap it up. I like to press my disc a bit flatter as I'm wrapping it, so then it's easier when it comes out. If you notice some little cracks, just push them together. So we'll rest this for 30 minutes. So I've got my dough back out of the fridge and it's still a little bit cold, so I'm just going to try and roll it out. So my aim is to get it bigger than this tin. Sometimes with spelt flour it tends to start cracking. Don't be too alarmed because you can kind of fudge it and bring it together when you roll it into your tin. You want to get a nice thin crust. So our tart tin's 23 centimetres or 9-inch. So let's try and get it to be about 28. I'm just making sure it's not sticking on the bottom. It's going to add a little bit more flour underneath. My dough is being annoying today. It's cracking a little bit. There's times when I make things and they're perfect when I don't film myself. And when I start filming myself, they start messing up. What I love about pastry that I discovered is you can make mistakes. Your dough can crack, but then you can patch it and it's fine. Okay, I think we're good to flop it into our tin. So what I like to do is I like to roll it back over my rolling pin. Grab your tart tin or your pie dish and you just flop it in. And if you have a little crack like there, you just ignore it for now and it'll work out in a minute. I'll patch it together. So we don't want to stretch it too much, we just want to flop it in. And I love this style of tin because Everything looks good in it. The fluted edge makes everything come out looking great. So I'm just gently popping it in. Now, the magic of this tin with the rolling pin, you just grab the edge of the pastry and the rolling pin cuts it off. And if you didn't have it in a tin like this, you just use a knife to cut off the excess. You can make a little pie or tart out of that. If not, you can throw it out. And I just go around checking how it looks on the edge. And it should look good. If not, you can just manipulate it, making sure I've got a nice thin edge. So the next step is called blind baking. I like to scrunch baking paper, so then it's easier to form into the pan or into your tin. And we need to use what's called baking weights or baking beads. You can use sugar, you can use rice, you can use dried lentils or beans, but I've got I've got ceramic beads. So I just store them in foil and then I just lift that into that. So then I can just reuse it. So now I'm going to, I forgot to put, you can put little fork prints in the bottom. I forgot to do that, but I think we'll be okay. So I'm just going to bake this now until it's golden. Let's have a look. Okay, we need to bake this now for 10 to 12 minutes in our hot oven, and I'm just putting it on this tray to help me get it in and out. So let's bake it for 10 minutes. While we've got our tart browning in the oven, I'm going to make the filling. So we've got 3 eggs, so I'm just going to pop them in here. So I always use large eggs, so there's 3 large eggs. Just checking my notes for the next step. Beat the eggs, then we add the sugar, and I've got 150 grams of caster sugar. You can add more. I've dropped mine back from an original recipe that I was inspired by. Let's put that to one side. We need to grab some of the lemon rind and make little thin strips for decoration. Not completely necessary. When they dry, they curl and they look fun. So I just slice off the lemon rind from the lemon without too much of the white. And I grab a sharp knife and I just cut it as fine as I can do it. Or you can do lemon zest with a grater if that's what you prefer. And I just do probably half a lemon, not too much. And then I pop it on a plate to dry. And then once I'm ready to serve it, it'll all be curly and look fun. Now we need to juice these 3 lemons. And just pour it into our egg mix. This recipe was originally inspired by a Dove's Farm recipe, but I've tweaked it slightly. But I love the fact that it only had 3 eggs in the filling. So many lemon tarts that I went to make had like 6 eggs in it. I live with someone who doesn't really like eggs, so whenever I make things, I've got to try and disguise the eggs or the quantity. So, and I just think that sometimes it's great to have a recipe that doesn't need to use up too many eggs. What I'm doing, as I'm juicing it, I'm getting all this pulp, but I try and push through as much of the lemon as I can. I've just got this old-fashioned juicer, but if you've got something fancier, use that. So this is very light and zingy. Okay, I've done the workout on my arms for the day. My timer is about to go off for my tart, so just keeping an eye on that. So I've got cream here, so that's 125 mils or half a cup of double cream, or thickened cream if you're somewhere where it's not called double cream. And we just whisk all that up together for a few seconds. Is my timer going off? So the first part of our blind baking's done. So what I do now is I remove everything and I just use my pot mitts. Now I've got a little bit of popping of my dough because I forgot to press it with the fork. So now, if you've forgotten like me, you just put a few little holes in there just to let it sink back down. We've removed our beads and we'll bake it for another 5 minutes. Give this one more whisk. So a little tip, to make it easier to pour into the shell, I'm going to transfer that into this jug, and then we can pour the jug into the tart shell. And I'm going to use this sift just to catch any larger pieces of lemon. Okay, I'm just going to let that sit. I'll do a bit of a clean up. Got 2 minutes for our tart to come out. So our base is out of the oven, and I need to let that cool for about 10 minutes. And I need to drop my oven back to 130 degrees C. And I'll pop the Fahrenheit measurement above. I've got all my filling ready to pour into the base. So we just let that chill, and then we'll do the next step. Now I'm going to pour this in front of you, but what you can do if you're baking this at home, you can put your tart shell in your oven and pull your tray out and pour it in the oven, and then it's easy. You won't have to like maneuver it around. But for the filming, because I've got everything set up, I'm not going to rearrange my lighting and setup. So I'm just going to pour it here, and hopefully I can take it to the oven without spilling it. And we need to bake this for 25 to 28 minutes. I'll try and do this so it doesn't spill everywhere. I did do a little bit of a spill. I should have done the other method. Anyway, I'm sure it's going to be fine. So I can't wait to show you when it comes out of the oven. I just got my tart out of the oven, and it's still a little bit wobbly, but what happens is it continues to set as it cools down. So it's been about an hour, and the tart's cooled down. So a trick to getting it out of the ring is I pop it on a bowl and I slide that down. Then I love serving it on these slate plates. For a little bit of pizzazz, I add a little bit of icing sugar. You can do it just around the edge, but I like doing it all over. And then we've got some of our lemon zest that I sliced before, and some of the thinner pieces have curled, which is perfect. I'm just going to be a bit generous and throw a few more on because they look so pretty. Here we have our lemon tart. I've cut it open and it smells delicious. It looks fantastic. I'm going to do a little taste test in front of you. It's still a little bit warm. I haven't had a chance to pop it in the fridge. So it just melts in your mouth. It almost tastes like a lemon meringue pie without the meringue on top. My crust is so light, and the lemon filling inside is not too custardy. It's zingy, it's light, creamy. I think I would just want to eat all of this in front of you. I try making this at home. You won't be disappointed. It tastes so good. It tastes like you've bought it from a fancy pastry shop. So hit the thumbs up if you've liked my video, share it with a friend, and please give it a go and let me know in the comments below if you've tried it and how it turns out. Please let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to video, and I'll pop a few links up above for some other tarts that I've made and other desserts. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Yum.